Welcome to Covenant Kids. We are so glad that you have joined us today. We have another exciting story to look at today of how God brought victory to his people. But first, let's stand up and worship together.
Philippians chapter 4:4-7. Philippians chapter 4:4-7. The Lord is near, the Lord is here, and I have peace with God. The Lord is near, the Lord is here, and I have the mind of Christ. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again and again and again. In everything I will sing and give thanks to the Lord. Now I will say and I will pray, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again and again and again. Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation give thanksgiving. Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation give thanksgiving. Philippians chapter 4:4-7. Philippians chapter 4:4-7. Philippians chapter 4:4-7. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again and again and again. Rejoice in the Lord. Philippians chapter 4:4-7. Philippians chapter 4:4-7.
When the waves crashing and my fear runs deep, Jesus is
If you've ever played sports or been in any kind of competition, then you know that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But with God, it's different. God always wins. Today, we're going to learn about an amazing victory that God gave to his people. Let's watch.
In a time where being the biggest made you the best, we find a small shepherd boy named David who is watching his sheep.
Hey, who are you calling small?
Well, you aren't very big, and you need to watch your sheep. Ah! David, behind you!
Get out! See ya! Lord, thank you for protecting me as I protect these sheep for my family. I will sing your praises forever and ever.
David lived in a time after judges ruled, when kings ruled God's people. King Saul was ruling over Israel, but he didn't obey God. And God chose David to be the new king someday. But when David was still young, some bad news was delivered.
King Saul, we've got trouble. The Philistines are gathering to attack us. We need to call the army and protect the Israelites.
Let's do this.
The Philistine and Israelite armies lined up on the opposite sides in the valley of Elah. Saul thought he was ready for battle. But then, a massive warrior named Goliath stepped out from the Philistine camp. Goliath was over 9 feet tall, wore impressive armor, and carried threatening weapons. He instantly terrified the Israelites.
Ah!
Goliath bellowed out a challenge to the Israelites. Who will fight me? Choose a man. If he defeats me, we will serve you. But if I win, you will be our slaves. The Israelites shook with fear, even Saul. Ah! None of the Israelites would answer the challenge and fight the mighty warrior. It was about this time that David's dad asked him to take some supplies to his 3 brothers who were in the army. While David was there, Goliath yelled out the challenge. I dare you to fight me!
What's the reward for defeating Goliath? You can't be serious. King Saul, I'll defeat Goliath.
You're too little and young. Goliath is a powerful soldier who's been training since he was a kid. There's no way.
The Lord saved me from the paw of the lion. He saved me from the paw of the bear. And he'll save me from the powerful hand of this Philistine too.
Saul could see that David was serious. So he allowed the young, small David to represent Israel and fight Goliath.
First thing, let's get you dressed for battle. Here, you can take my armor. My armor has helped me in many battles. And you can take my sword.
Oh, I can't really use this stuff. It doesn't fit me, and I'm not used to it. Besides, I'm not trusting in armor to save me. I'm trusting in God.
David gave the armor and sword back to Saul. Instead, he grabbed his staff, shepherd's bag, and sling. At a stream, he grabbed 5 smooth stones. David confidently walked out to fight Goliath. Goliath saw David and made fun of his shepherd's tools. But David replied,
You are coming to fight against me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin. But I am coming against you in the name of the Lord, who rules over all. He is the God of the armies of Israel. He is the one you have dared to fight against.
David ran toward Goliath. He placed a stone in his simple sling and threw it at Goliath. Thunk! The stone struck Goliath in the forehead, and the towering terror fell down dead. David didn't need a sword or armor. He knew that the battle and the victory belonged to the Lord. Goliath's size and weapons didn't matter against God. In fact, it wasn't even David's skill that made the difference. It was God's strength and help for David that mattered most. God is all-powerful, and with Him on our side, we can have courage with whatever we face, because God will always be victorious.
David and Goliath, a classic Bible story that you've probably heard many times, but there's such an important lesson in it for us. God will always be victorious. Let's recap. There was a king in Israel named Saul. Saul didn't obey God, so God chose David, a small shepherd boy from Bethlehem, to be the next king. But David wasn't king yet. Saul was still king, and Saul had a big problem: the Philistines. The Philistines were the enemies of God's people, and they had a very tall warrior named Goliath. Goliath was over 9 feet tall. As you can imagine, the Israelites were terrified. Now, David's older brothers were a part of Saul's army, so David's father sent him to deliver supplies to his brothers. When David got there, he saw Goliath yelling and taunting the Israelites. David found King Saul and told him that he would fight Goliath. David told Saul how he had overpowered a lion and a bear while protecting his father's sheep. David knew that God would save him from the powerful hand of Goliath too. Saul dressed David in his own armor and gave David his sword, but David was so small that he could barely move with Saul's armor on. So he took it off and he picked up his staff, his shepherd's bag, and a slingshot. And then he went down to a stream and found 5 smooth stones. David walked out to meet Goliath. Now Goliath teased David and made fun of his shepherd's tools, but David ran toward Goliath, took a stone, put it in a sling, flung it around, and hit Goliath. It struck Goliath in the forehead, and the big giant fell down dead. David beat Goliath. He didn't even need a sword, but David knew the battle and the victory belonged to the Lord. Goliath's size, his armor, and his weapons didn't matter. It wasn't David's great fighting skills that made the difference. It was God's strength working through David that mattered most. To the people watching, it might have looked like David's battle against Goliath was doomed, but David triumphed because of God's power. And you'll triumph too. God will help you in the challenges you face. He'll give you strength and courage. And best of all, God will always be with you. All right, kids, it's time for our word of wonder. Our verse is from Joshua 1:9. Here is what I am commanding you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God, and I will be with you everywhere you go. Okay, this time I'm going to say it a little at a time, and you repeat after me. Here is what I am commanding you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go. Joshua 1:9. Good job, kids. All right, Covenant kids. God knows you, God loves you, and God leads you. Now go change your world.